Once upon a time, in a cozy little house with a big green garden, lived a little boy named Sammy. Sammy was a wonderful boy. He was smart, kind, and had a smile that could brighten anyone's day. He had lots of friends who loved to play with him. But Sammy had one little problem that sometimes made things tricky for him and everyone around him. He was very, very stubborn. You see, Sammy didn't like being told what to do. Not one bit. If his mum gave him a piece of advice, his eyes would do a little roll around. When his teacher at school reminded him of the classroom rules, he'd let out a big dramatic sigh that everyone could hear. And if his friends warned him about something, like a wobbly branch on a tree he was climbing, he'd just puff out his chest and say, "I know what I'm doing." He always thought he knew best. One beautiful sunny morning, Sammy was out in the garden. The sun was shining brightly, the birds were singing their sweet songs, and Sammy was having a grand time playing with his favorite bright red ball. The grass was still sparkling with tiny dewdrops because it had rained all through the night before, making everything smell fresh and clean. His mother, who was in the kitchen making breakfast, saw him through the window. She called out in her warm, gentle voice, "Sammy, sweetheart, please be careful. Don't go near that big muddy puddle at the end of the garden. It's very slippery from the rain, and I don't want you to fall and get all dirty." Sammy stopped, put his hands on his hips, and crossed his arms over his chest. He looked at the puddle, then back at the window, and shouted, "I won't fall, Mum. I'm not a baby. I'm super careful." His mother smiled kindly. She knew her little boy very well. She said softly, "I know you're a big boy, Sammy. I'm not saying it to spoil your fun. I'm just saying it because I love you and I want you to be safe." But Sammy wasn't really listening. His mind was already made up. He pretended to kick his ball in the other direction until he saw his mum turn away from the window and go back to her work inside. The moment she was gone, a mischievous little grin spread across his face. He picked up his red ball, tucked it under his arm, and made a beeline straight for the forbidden muddy puddle. He stood at the edge, looking down at the big, brown, gooey mess. He wasn't scared at all. In fact, he felt brave and proud. He said to himself, "I'll just jump over it. Easy peasy. One big jump, and I'll fly through the air like a superhero." He imagined himself soaring over the puddle, landing perfectly on the other side. So he took a few steps back, took a deep breath, and ran forward. He jumped once, and he made it. He landed safely on a small patch of grass in the middle. See," he said out loud, feeling very pleased with himself. He jumped a second time, a little farther this time, and again he was fine. He landed with a soft squish, but was still on his feet. He was feeling so confident, so unstoppable. He decided to go for one more big, heroic jump to clear the puddle completely. He took a running start, bent his knees, and leaped with all his might. But this time, splash, his foot didn't find solid ground. Instead, it slipped on the slick, muddy edge. In a blink, Sammy tumbled and landed right in the very center of the huge puddle. The mud went everywhere. It was on his hands, all over his new clothes, and even splattered across his face and in his hair. His bright red ball was now a brown, muddy ball. Even his shoes were completely stuck, swallowed by the thick, gooey mud. Sammy slowly sat up, blinking the mud from his eyelashes. He looked down at himself. He was covered from head to toe in thick, brown, sticky mud. He looked like a statue made of melted chocolate. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Should he cry because he was stuck and dirty, or should he laugh because he looked so silly? Just then, he heard footsteps. His mother came running out of the house. She had heard the big splash and came to see what had happened. When she saw Sammy sitting in the middle of the puddle, looking like a little mud monster, she stopped. She let out a long sigh, but her face wasn't angry. There was only concern in her eyes. She walked carefully to the edge of the puddle and reached out her hand. "Oh, Sammy," she said kindly, her voice full of love. She gently helped him pull his feet free and stand up. "This is why I warned you, my dear. Not because I don't want you to play and have adventures, but because I want to keep you safe from things that might hurt you." Sammy looked down at his muddy shoes, feeling a lump in his throat. He couldn't look at his mum. He whispered, so quietly she could barely hear him, "I should have listened to you. Mama, I'm sorry." A little tear rolled down his cheek, clearing a tiny path through the mud. His mother didn't say, "I told you so." Instead, she smiled warmly and pulled him into a big hug, not caring one bit that he was covered in mud. The mud squished between them, but it was a warm, loving hug. "It's okay, sweetheart," she said, stroking his muddy hair. "We all make mistakes. That's how we learn. The important thing isn't about never falling down. It's about learning from our tumbles so we can be a little bit safer next time." From that day on, something inside Sammy changed. He was still the same fun-loving, adventurous boy, but he started to listen a little more. When his mum gave him advice, he would think about it. When his teacher reminded him of a rule, he understood it was there to help everyone. He realized that advice wasn't a punishment or a way to stop his fun. It was a gift, a special gift that comes from people who love you and want the very best for you. And so Sammy continued to play and explore his world with great joy. But now he was not only stubborn and brave, but he was also a little bit wiser too. Thank you so much for joining us for this story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wonderful stories. We'll see you next time.